Okay, my friends, now this is the problem that we talked about yesterday, and I wrote it on the board, but I changed it and put it on this paper, okay, so we could remember this problem, okay? Do you remember this picture from yesterday?
Yeah.
All right, Joe Day, I need you to crisscross, buddy, just like Bryce. He's doing a great job. What was the problem? Raise your hand if you remember what the problem was. Foster, what was the problem?
You had to try to find out what dinosaur was it and how many dinosaurs were there.
We had to figure out how many dinosaurs there were, okay? Remember the problem was you're out there in the lake and you went swimming and you had on goggles and a snorkel, and so you were under the water and you came to some feet. They were great big dinosaur feet, but you weren't really sure if these were nice dinosaurs. So you didn't want to pop out of the water because they might try to eat you, right?
Yeah.
So we had to figure out how many dinosaur heads were up there without going to the top and looking. And this is what you saw when you were under the water. You just saw these dinosaur feet. Don't talk out, baby. Yes, sir, do you have a question? Does it have anything to do with this? Do we need to talk about it later? Talk about it later? All right. So this is what we saw when we were swimming under the water. We saw these dinosaur feet, okay? And just like Foster said, the question we asked ourselves were, how many dinosaurs are there? Okay? And then we had to explain how we knew and use mathematical language. Remember that big, long word? That just means we had to talk about math stuff to figure out how many dinosaurs were up above the water without going and figuring it out. Okay, who knows what the very first question we asked ourselves was? Do you remember? Do you remember, Connor?
Yeah.
What did we ask ourselves?
4.
What? Do you remember what we asked ourselves? We had to count something. We had to figure something out. What did we have to count?
4.
Oh, those were some answers that we got. But we aren't there yet. Okay? Talk me through what we did first. You remember we wrote it up here. Somebody had to count for me. Bryce, what did we ask ourselves? Okay, to find out how many dinosaur heads were up top, what did we need to know about what was down under here?
Feet.
How many feet there were. Good job, Joe Day. We had to figure out how many feet and legs there were. And we had a friend count, and we counted that there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We figured out that there were 8 legs. Okay, that was the very first thing we did. And you remember when I showed you these different posters? Do you remember this poster?
Yeah. No.
Remember these posters had different things that people who were really good at math. Ariel, thank you for sitting crisscross applesauce with your hands in your lap. That looks so good. I'll get you a sticker when we get done, okay? Okay, remember these are things that people that are really good at math do. Okay? And remember I said that the one up here in the orange, that's kind of for teachers. Those have big words in it that we don't really need to worry about. We need to worry about this stuff down here that talks about how kids can understand it. And it says, when given a problem, I can make a plan to solve it and check my answer. So when we were looking at this problem, we knew to make a plan to solve how many dinosaur heads there were, we first had to know how many legs there were. Were there any numbers in the problem before we started? No, it didn't tell us how many legs. We had to figure that out ourselves. So that was our first step in our plan. Okay? We knew we needed to know that. And then, okay? Then after you counted the legs, can somebody raise their hand and describe to me what you did next? What did you do next? You knew there were 8 legs. Now what did you need to know? Michael, what did you need to know now? How many dinosaur heads there were. Exactly. We knew how many feet. Now we need to know how many heads. And we made some guesses. Remember, Somebody guessed that there were 2 dinosaurs.